Top 10 wide receivers entering the 2025 NFL season. I'm Coy Camiscioli from Florida Sports Talk here with Cade Gargano and Eli Namey, each to give our lists. We've already recorded our top 10 tight ends and running backs to this point, and we're here now. So let's get going right here. It's not fantasy based. It's just based off our knowledge of our top 10 wide receivers going into the season, how they performed last year, how we think they're going to do this year. And we'll start off with some guys that maybe missed our list or honorable mentions. So the couple notable names that missed mine were Tyreek Hill, Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, and JSN. They all missed my list. And my one honorable mention is Mike Evans. So if you guys have an honorable mention, you guys can share it now.
So my honorable mentions are Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, and my number 11, who I really wanted to put on my list, but he just missed, Brian Thomas Jr.
Interesting. So I have Brian Thomas on my list. My honorable mentions in order from 11, 12, and 13 are Lad McConkey, Mike Evans, and T. Higgins.
Okay, pretty standard. I feel like nothing crazy so far. Maybe Brian Thomas is a little crazy, but I can't say it's that crazy because I only have Brian Thomas at number 10, and my wide receivers are broken down into three tiers, and Brian Thomas is kind of like in that third tier alone, actually. After Brian Thomas, I go into my second tier. So I have him over Mike Evans as my honorable mention because I'm like slating Mike Evans to miss maybe 3 to 4 games as usual. He's getting pretty close to missing that 1,000-yard mark for the first time. He still got it last year, but it was pretty close. Came down to the final game. And Mike Evans, great. I just think Brian Thomas last year was better. 1,282 yards and 17 games, 87 receptions, 10 touchdowns. Even with Travis Hunter, I think he's gonna be really good. So he's at my number 10.
So my number 10 is where I put Terry McLaurin. I understand Coy had him on the, you did have as an honorable mention, right?
Yes.
Yes, so I wanted him there, but I wanted Brian Thomas there, but I put Terry McLaurin. Over 1,000 yards last season, 17 games played, 13 TDs, career high of his. And I think with Jaden Daniels, he's not going to slow down. So I think the 10 spot's a good spot for him.
Yeah, I don't entirely disagree. I didn't even mention Terry, but I think the contract dispute scares me a little bit. We see guys not really come into the season looking all that great once they hold out all training camp, but I could definitely see the argument for Terry. My number 10 spot was Drake London. I think Drake London kind of suffered a little bit in the beginning of the season because Kirk Cousins was the quarterback. And as we know, he had that one great game against the Buccaneers where it went into overtime that really boosted his stats with Kirk, but he was unbelievable with Michael Penix. I mean, he had 1,300 yards last season, 9 touchdowns, and he did start all 17 games and had 100 catches on the dot. I really do think Michael Penix is going to force feed him this season. He's going to have a great counting year.
So, okay,
Yeah, I
that's
don't
our
know
10.
why.
Yeah, Drake London's my 10.
Okay, gotcha. I'm a little bit higher. Eli, you were saying something?
I was going to say two things. One, I was never a Drake London guy. I really don't have a reason not to. I just never liked the guy. I actually also don't even have him on my list.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think he definitely deserves to be on the list. Me personally, and I know I mentioned this with Jameer Gibbs over Bijan in our last episode. It's more the eye test for me. I think there's a lot of guys in front of Drake London that I think I would prefer to have. But again, we could see a complete and utter explosion out of him with Michael Penix there, who is really a great pocket passer.
Yeah, I think he's going to get force fed by Penix. I am a little higher than Drake, or on Drake than you guys are. Real fast for the viewers. I'm sorry if our mics are a little delayed. I just got back to school and my Wi-Fi is dog shit, to put it nicely, and we're going to try to figure this out, but we're just going to keep going here. All right, well, those are our number 10. So my number 9, this is entering my like second tier of guys, which is fourth and 9. My number 9, and I think this is going to be a little bit lower than you guys are going to have him. I am Malik Neighbors at number 9. 1,204 yards last year, 109 receptions, 170 targets in just 15 games. Some pretty ridiculous numbers for Malik Neighbors in that system with even some weak quarterback play. And I don't know, maybe I'm like skeptical of his quarterback play this year, which doesn't make any sense considering how it was last year. But I feel like replicating two amazing seasons with different terrible QBs is still a tough thing to do. And even if that, I still think the guys in front of him in the top 8 are just so loaded that like number 9 is just really not a ridiculous ranking. And as I said, 9 through 4 all like in that tier 2 of guys. So it's not like there's not many levels to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was hoping you weren't going to talk about how you didn't think he was going to repeat the season he had, which, because I completely agree. I also have Malik Neighbors at 9, and I was going to make that point that I don't think he's going to have the season he had last year necessarily, but I still think he's going to have a great season. That he's one. I think he's going to be one of the most talented receivers in the entire league and within the next few years. But I also have him at 9.
So I have Malik Neighbors a little bit higher. Maybe that'll be the big disagreement with me and Coy, the Drake London versus Malik Neighbors. But I do like Malik Neighbors a little bit more. But my number 9 is Brian Thomas, who Coy had at number 10. I mean, the only things that scare me with Brian Thomas is not the talent. I mean, obviously we saw him do it last year. He had 87 catches, 1,300 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I mean, that's great for a rookie. That's a great season. But we did see his numbers kind of jump up without Trevor Lawrence. It was more when Mac Jones was there at the end of the season after Trevor Lawrence's injury, and Mac Jones kind of force fed him the ball. He was wide open a few times. Um, I'm going to have to see it with Trevor Lawrence, even though I think we will. And Travis Hunter is there also, who they took number 2 overall. There's debates that, I mean, you could say he's going to play a lot of defense, which is maybe true, but nobody takes a cornerback at number 2 in the draft, and they traded up for him. Like, they're going to get him the ball a lot. And Liam Cohen's great at making 2 wide receiver offenses go. So I don't think either one of those guys is going to have a problem scoring and getting their yards. But I just think Brian Thomas takes a tad of a hit with Travis Hunter there.
Yeah, that's we're kind of in the same wavelength there. Again, you're one rank higher than I am with Brian Thomas. I think Travis Hunter offensively, I don't think he's gonna. I'm kind of like, and I'm in agreement with you, Cade. I do agree. Like he was picked number 2 for a reason. I don't think it was as much for his defense as it is his offense. It is definitely a mix of both, but I still like Thomas. But all right, well, those are our number 9s. Going into number 8s. I'm intrigued to see where you guys have this guy. I had Puka Nacua at number 8. It's kind of an interesting ranking because his rookie year was unbelievable. 1,486 yards his rookie year, 105 receptions, and then obviously he started last year hurt. He had the weird knee injury, and then he almost hurt it again and re-aggravated it later in the season. Ended up being fine. Had 990 receiving yards in just 11 games, which is pretty crazy. Watching him play it's really fun to watch, if I'm being honest. He just seems like a really pure receiver. And I think a fully healthy season, well, for him and Stafford, could be a problem for the rest of the league. And even with Devontae Adams there, I don't have my concerns of Puka Nacua's production. I think both guys will eat in that offense.
For my number 8, I actually put Mike Evans, who I don't think you guys would. I don't see either of you guys having him on your list, to be honest. But
He was
1,000
an
yards every
honorable mention
season.
for me.
Yeah, yeah. So 1,000 yards a season, I don't see that not happening again, especially with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. So it felt right to put him on the list after just years of 1,000 yards every single time.
There's a few things about Mike Evans that scare me a little bit. I think losing Liam Cohen's an issue. I think the emergence of Bucky Irving's kind of an issue. His age and health is always worrisome because he always is dealing with a hamstring. And I really think that Emeka Ibuka is the real deal. I think he's an absolute number 1 receiver. I think Baker Mayfield's going to, target him a lot this season, especially when Chris Godwin comes back, when all 3 of them are there. I don't know, but I can absolutely see the case for him. But
Yeah.
my number 8 was Malik Neighbors, so I have him, I believe, 1 spot higher than Coy did. I just think everything in Malik Neighbors' situation got better. It's the same coaching. His quarterback situation absolutely got better, no matter which of the 3 you put in there. I think I maybe like Russell Wilson the least out of Jackson Dart and uh, James Winston. Yeah. But yeah, I think I like Russell Wilson the least, but I don't think it matters. I think it's all an upgrade over Daniel Jones, and he was heavily targeted last year. And honestly, he might be the only thing they have going for him.
Yeah, Cade, you were one rank higher on him than I was. I kind of agree with you. I'm very intrigued to see what the situation is like for Malik, the QB situation that is. So I don't disagree there. Into our number 7s, I have Drake London. So this one a little higher on him than you guys were. I just think with Michael Penix, and I'll pull up his game log, I just think he started to force feed him down the stretch of last season when Penix started coming into the games. And I just think he's a great receiver. Yeah, week 17, 18 targets, 10 receptions, 187 yards. Week 16, 13 targets, 7 receptions, 106 yards. He had a couple meh games in between with 8 targets, 10 targets, and then 3. But then he had 16 as well in week 12. So I just think he's going to get force fed this year. I think he's like one of those like dark horse, like top 2 fantasy wide receivers. Like if you wanted a dark horse, I'm not banking on that. I'm just saying, like, I just think he has that kind of talent. And I have him over Puka because of I am definitely a little concerned of Stafford's health. And I even think with his health, I still think Drake London is very good. So that's my number 7.
So my number 7, I put Puka Nakua, and like you said, I may be a little bit concerned about Stafford's help, but I think Puka's just a really smart receiver, just totally talented, and his chemistry with Stafford, it looks like it's been built over years and not just 1 year. So I think he's a very, very talented guy. I'm just hoping Stafford stays healthy along with Puka.
Yeah, I like Puka a lot this season. Coy, we had the same bottom three. I really don't think you can go wrong putting them in any order. Malik Neighbors, Brian Thompson, Drake London. I think they're all elite players that it's just pick your poison, whose situation you like the best. My number 7 is Amon-Ra St. Brown. That might be a little low, but I really do think he's going to take a hit, along with the entire offense without Ben Johnson there. I think maybe it affects Montgomery and Sam Laporta the most. Maybe you can claim that Amon-Ra is going to get his no matter what, which I can see an argument for. He had almost 1,300 yards last year, 12 touchdowns. So he's a great receiver. Obviously, he's in my top 7 receivers in the NFL. I really do think, I mean, they were the number 1 scoring offense in the league last year. Let's say if they even dropped down to, I don't know, 5th or 6th, I think Amon-Ra takes a big hit. Just the sheer difference in the amount of points that is.
I completely agree with you on all those takes. I have one rank higher at number 6. Really not much to add on. Career high in touchdowns last year, as you said, with 12. Probably going to see some regression there, more than likely. You never know. And I am very concerned about, not, I shouldn't say very concerned. I think the Lions are going to take a step back as a team. They lost a lot of coaches, not just their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator. So I think that Ben Johnson was a really good offensive coordinator. And I just don't think I don't think he's gonna get 12 touchdowns again. I could see him getting another 1,200-yard season, but I think it's good enough to put him at number 6, and my top 5 are up there for a reason. So
Yes, so I have a Mon Ra a lot higher than you do, Coy. Obviously the situation may have gotten worse, but I just still think he's so talented. So, but anyway, I put Nico Collins at my number 6.
oh,
Stroud seems to always trust him in all the big moments. There's no doubt he's a talented guy, and he seems to be coming back healthy. So, Coy, what's the noise for? You don't like that take?
wide receiver 1 this year, Nico Collins, by the way.
Boy has him in fantasy football. Don't let him fool you.
No,
Ah,
I
there we
actually just
go.
think
It's
he's
always
that
But
good.
no,
good.
It's not
Eli,
just
I
fantasy
think I
football.
agree. In most seasons, Eli, I think I would agree with you. But the Lions scored 70 touchdowns last year. Like, what are the chances they score 50 or 55 without Ben Johnson? I think that really affects Amon Ra's totals. But either way, like I said, for all these guys, if I can see an argument absolutely. My number 6 was Puka Nakua. I mean, we've seen Puka be an unbelievable receiver, and it's really just been the injury last year that kind of derailed what would have been a great season. I really think Cooper Cup being gone, even though he wasn't great, helps him a lot. I think Devonte Adams there also sneakily helps him because it'll take some coverage off. Even though I do think maybe the red zone targets won't be there as much with Devonte Adams on the other side, but we really haven't seen Puka thrive in the touchdown category. He only scored 3 touchdowns last year. I know he only played 11 games, but that's not a lot at all. If he can just get lucky, I want to say, and get that number up to 8 or 9 with a healthy full season, I really think he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver because we know Matt Stafford loves to target his guys that he feels comfortable with, and McVay's so good at scheming them up too.
Yeah, Kate, our like 6 or 10 are actually like really similar, just like mix and match a little bit with some of those
I think we
rankings.
have all the same names. It's just
Yeah.
different orders.
Exactly. So, all right, well, we're heading to the top 5. This is still my tier 2 of guys. 4 through 5 is the end of tier 2. My number 5, I have AJ Brown. And I think maybe if you're not a Philadelphia fan, you might have Amon Ra over him. But AJ Brown's like the highest graded PFF wide receiver in the league. 96.6 last year. He leads the league in the category over the last 3 seasons, and he's pretty much just the definition of an alpha wide receiver. And in just 13 games last year, 1,079 yards and 7 touchdowns. Pretty unbelievable stuff from AJ. And I'm just hoping he can get a fully healthy season because the 2 years prior to that, 1,456 yards and 1,496 yards the year before that. And I also have him in fantasy, and I'm obviously diehard Eagles. So AJ, play 17 full again, unless you need a break for the Super Bowl.
And I'm not about to add on any of that. I also have AJ Brown at number 5.
Yeah, I think that's going to be our big difference between all three of us. I have AJ Brown higher than number five. I'll just say, my number five is Nico Collins. I think Nico Collins absolutely deserves to be in the top five category. He's I like Coy was breaking it down into tiers. I think Nico Collins is the start of the new tier. I don't think he's in that range with like Puka and those guys. I think Nico Collins is a better wide receiver. I think the running game in Houston is going to be really bad without Joe Mixon. I think the line is really bad, and I think the target competition is really bad. I don't see any reason Nico Collins doesn't get 1,400 yards. And I know that sounds crazy to predict, but minimum 1,400 yards. I really think he's going to have a really big season. I struggle with putting him any higher because we know he's going to get hurt. He gets hurt every year. I know it's like, you're not supposed to say that he's going to get hurt, but Nico Collins is often injured. And it's the same reason I kind of left T. Higgins off this list. I can't put a guy at the very top if I think he's going to miss 2 to 3 games. That will really affect his stats, especially if guys like Jamar and Jefferson play all 17.
That's interesting, Kate, because I agree with you and everything. I'm hoping he's going to stay healthy this year. I have one rank higher than you at number four. He's the last part of that tier two of guys for me and with Nico Collins, and I kind of agree with everything you said. He's a monster. So I'm really looking forward to maybe seeing a fully healthy Nico Collins season. And now just to gas up my fantasy team a little bit, you're looking at two guys here, Nico and AJ Brown, and this is not even just a fantasy point; it's just fact. They play those 17 games, they can both get 1,500 receiving yards. So you kind of want to see it. And also, Nico Collins is second in the last 2 years with his PFF receiving grade at 95.3, which is, again, second to just A.J. Brown. So interesting there for my number four.
So my four is where I ended up putting Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I know the coaching situation's gotten worse. They lost Ben Johnson, but I just don't think any amount of coaching can have such a significant impact on such a talented receiver, if that makes sense. Like, I understand like it plays a role, but I just think Amon-Ra is so good that like I don't see how significant of a drop off can come from Ben Johnson being gone.
So I think it's going to be interesting to see because Amon Ra really thrives in like finding open zones and zone coverage and just kind of sitting and being there with Jared Goff, and he's strong through the ball. Like he doesn't like unnecessarily jump at any moment. Like he stays grounded and just really takes off after the catch. But I really think a lot of it comes down to Ben Johnson scheming them open. I think he's a great coordinator, probably one of the better offensive coordinators we've seen in a long time. I I get a little nervous putting him that high, but like I said, I could
Yeah.
see the
I
argument too because he's always graded so highly. But again, it's like how much does the other seasons matter when Ben Johnson won't be here this year?
Yeah, that makes sense. I just think I still think he's so talented, even with or without Ben Johnson. I think he's just a talented guy.
Yeah, yeah, he definitely is. My number four is where I had CeeDee Lamb.
Hmm.
I think he's going to have a bounce back season. Dak's going to be healthier. We know that. I think George Pickens' target competition's real. I like George Pickens a lot this season. I think he's going to be the red zone guy. But I mean, when Dak and CeeDee are both healthy and playing together, they are statistically the best duo in the league, even above Burrow and Jamar Chase. Like it's CeeDee Lamb 2 seasons ago averaged 103 receiving yards a game when Dak was, third or fourth in MVP voting, whatever it was. So CeeDee Lamb's great. We know he's great. You could argue he's top three. I wouldn't put him above my top three, but you could definitely make a case for it. My biggest, gripe against him is that he really takes advantage of playing the slot. And how good is Brian Schottenheimer going to be to, be able to get him open? But I can't put him above my top three when he doesn't play nearly as much outside ball as the other guys do, taking on the number one cornerback.
Now that's interesting, Kate, because I know you haven't said AJ Brown yet. I really don't see a situation where I'd put AJ above CD just from a talent standpoint. From a situation standpoint, obviously, I think I'd put AJ Brown higher. I don't know though. I think it's an interesting choice.
I
I
mean,
see the
AJ Brown
vision.
was the highest. He was the highest graded receiver in football last year. Like he's unbelievable. And just because he didn't, well, we'll talk about AJ, but I disagree.
I kind of like it. I like it a lot. I obviously had AJ below him. There's going to be two spots between AJ and CD. CD is in my top three. He is at number three for me in that first tier of guys. Kate, I don't disagree with you. Maybe when I made this list, like was factoring in like success this upcoming year. I still think I would have CD Lamb over him, but like I like those points. I cannot disagree with you on any of those points. So yeah, CD at my number three. You mentioned that year two, 2 seasons ago, 1,749 yards, the league high 135 receptions, 12 touchdowns. If him and Dak are healthy, you're likely not going to see those same exact numbers, but you're going to see an increase from his near 1,200 receiving yards last year. So CD is my number three.
I think the top three is pretty clear in my opinion, and I think the number three is CD Lamb. I don't have too much to say about that. I think with a healthy Dak, he's just so good.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's not really much I could say to defend my argument because if you think CD's top three, I don't have, you know, too much to say against that because I could see the argument for him. But I think we get caught up, in numbers a lot. And Dak, they have no run game whatsoever. The year in 2023 they didn't, and this year they really don't. Like if Jalen Hurts threw the ball 45 times like Dak does, I really think AJ's numbers are identical. And I just like the way AJ plays more. I mean, he averaged 3.5 yards per route run last year, which is the second best in all of football. Like even without the counting stats on a per route basis, he's graded above everybody else. It's not even really close either. He's unbelievable just because Saquon gets all those attempts and the yards, and the games were kind of over in the fourth quarter, most of them. Like I think if you put them in the exact same situation, with a quarterback that throws as much as Dak does, I think their counting stats are dead even. It's really just a pick from there. I just think you go against, there's a guy that you want on the outside for a deep ball, like just give me AJ Brown. We saw it in both Super Bowls. I really think CeeDee Lamb is more of a scheme and team kind of fit than he is a more talented wide receiver.
I like it. I don't, Kate.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. It's it's
I mean, AJ
I see
Brown's
it.
red zone presence alone is much better.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not
So
ridiculous. It's not
I
ridiculous.
really think I think the CD fits better with the Cowboys than AJ would, and AJ fits better here than CD would. I just think it's really however you prefer your wide receiver, and I just prefer a receiver that I can, trust with his hands in the red zone, and just I don't know, maybe it's just personal preference.
gotcha. Yeah,
I
I
like
like
that
it.
take there.
Getting into our top two now, Jefferson and Chase. It just depends on where you have them. I think a lot of people would say it's consensus. And I don't. I'll tell you right now. I have Justin Jefferson number two. And before you get all wacky and crazy on me, when it's all said and done and these two retire, Justin Jefferson is the better wide receiver. I think Justin Jefferson has been the better wide receiver for the past 4 years. I think entering this season, Jamar Chase is the better wide receiver right now. LeBron James, he's not the best basketball player going into next year. It doesn't mean he's not the greatest to ever do it when it's all said and done. Justin Jefferson is going to retire the best as the best wide receiver of all time, in my opinion. I firmly do believe that. In all honesty, the numbers don't lie either. I just think Jamar Chase, he's the best wide receiver after catch and in space that I've ever seen. He is way too dangerous when he gets the ball in his hands. He proved it last year with the Triple Crown winner. I will say though, in Jefferson fans' defense, that Triple Crown was like on the weaker side of a Triple Crown, which there's really no such thing, but it kind of is at the same time. It's really tough. And here's even a number to disagree with what I just said. Jefferson in 2022, 1,809 yards off 128 receptions, which both led the league. And Jamar last year, 1,708 yards on 127 receptions. So Jefferson, one more reception with pretty much 100 more yards. Jamar, though, does have more touchdowns in that span, though. So I don't know. It sounds kind of crazy, but I feel like that argument for me makes it a little bit easier to understand.
So I also had Justin Jefferson at two, but I feel like a lot of people. But for me, that was more. I feel like a lot of people act like Justin Jefferson is, so much more talented than Jamar Chase. Where in my eyes, I do not see it as much. I may think he's a slight edge talent wise over Jamar, but I feel like people act like there's this massive, massive gap. When I think Jamar and Jefferson are 1A and 1B, and going into this season, Jefferson's going to be my 1B, just because JJ McCarthy sucks. Um, but I don't know. I don't see the gap that I think other people see talent wise between the two of them.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't put Jamar above him. I have Jamar Chase at number 2. I think, I mean, Justin Jefferson has 2,000 more receiving yards than him. I mean, granted, he does have one more. He has, how many is this? He has 15 more games played, but that's less than a full season, and he has 2,000 more yards with much, much, much worse quarterback play. I really just, I think this is another similarity between the A.J. Brown and CeeDee Lamb thing. If you switch their quarterbacks and you switch their situations, I think Justin Jefferson's stats are ungodly, like stats we can't even begin to even comprehend. I think if you just replace Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold and whoever else they've thrown out there with Joe Burrow, I think it's maybe the best receiver we've ever seen, and he's getting close to that point anyway, even with how bad the quarterback play has been.
Yeah, no, it's. I think Jamal. Sorry, I think Jefferson is a little bit more talented. I just think I don't know why I never saw the significant difference between Jefferson and Jamar Chase that other people have seen. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just not as deep into sports as other guys are who really analyze each player, like which I know you guys do. But I've just never seen the significant gap that other people see. I think they're both so good. I really do.
Yeah. Um, listen, the what it came down to with me, I think yards after catch is a sexy thing, and here's the numbers to back it up for me from the past 2 years. Jamar had 800 yards after catch last season, which led the league, and he has 1,788 yards after catch since 2022, which also leads the league. That is just unbelievable to think about. Again, I made my argument as Jefferson's been the best wide receiver over the last 4 years. I just think Jamar Chase is the better wide receiver currently. And I think Jefferson will outlast him, but that's just how I see it right now. I just think Jamar Chase is that dangerous with the ball in his hands.
I
Yeah,
agree, and
and
that's
I
why.
mean, I there's not really much to add. I mean, you can't argue that they're the top 2 guys. It's just where do you put them? And
Yeah,
at that point, it doesn't even really matter because they're both gonna. I mean, Jefferson had probably his worst season as a pro last year, and he only had 200 less yards than Jamar Chase, who had his best season as a pro. I know the touchdowns were lopsided, but I don't know. I just think if you give Justin Jefferson to Joe Burrow, it's a entirely different story.
I agree. Well, guys, that's going to do it. That's it for the top 10 wide receivers. It's now just time for the top 10 quarterbacks. And then after that, it's the real deal with some football. So, you guys have any other thoughts you would like to get out there?
No, that's all. Thanks, guys.
I do want to say this time next year, I believe Roma Dunze will be on this
Oh,
list, and
God.
that's a fact.
Oh God.
That will not happen. Nico Collins, wide receiver 1, AJ Brown, wide receiver 2. Book it now. I'm going to win my fantasy league. I'll see you guys later.
That'll never happen.